I already decided that I will go to Magadan instead of Vladivostok, but during the morning breakfast I saw on the news that Typhoon Francisco hit Primorsky Krai, basically area around Vladivostok, with huge floods. So that gave me another boost that there is an only way to the east, and that's to Magadan. So it was time to say hello to infamous Lena Highway and Kolyma Highway, also known as Road of Bones. I started from Platina Hotel in Skovorodino, did 1018 kilometers to the one motel that I found on the road called Legion, spent the night over there, and then day after went to Buluus, that is very well known tourist attraction, Siberian Glacier. After that crossed the Lena River and went to the place where you can rent a taxi to see Lena Pillars, another tourist attraction. From which, day after, I went to Yakutsk, the coldest city in the world. Crossed the river to Nizhny Bestiak, from which basically starts Kolyma Highway. So the plan was to drive Kolyma Highway up to Aldan River, or better to say ferry crossing port at Aldan River, where I was planning to spend the night and then cross the river and continue to Magadan further on. Rainy weather and floods that I mentioned in Vladivostok area in Primorsky Krai were not giving me that much confidence how the road will look like towards Magadan, but one way or another, as I said, I decided to go that way. It was time to say goodbye to Skovorodino. As I said, some 10,000 people, not too much to see, established in 1908, and basically this what you see below this bridge is the reason why it was established, the construction of Trans-Siberian Railway. And here we go, left is Chita to the west, and I'll go to the east where the sign says Khabarovsk. Although I'm going forwards Tinda, which will be right exit in next few minutes. There you go. Forwards Tinda, and further on, of course, to Yakutsk and Magadan. Road, as you can see, is in the perfect condition, although it's raining. And this is basically Lena Highway, the infamous roads that runs from Skovorodino up to Yakutsk, actually up to Nizhny Bestiak, which is on the east bank of the Lena River. Altogether 1,181 kilometers, built in stages in between 1925 and 1964. In 2014 it was named Federal Highway, and federal government started investing in it. Although when you see this road and potholes you would say, nah, this is far away from highway. But it was worse, it was way worse than this. Those are photos from 2006 mostly, and this was the normal thing in those days if you were running from Skovorodino up to Yakutsk. This track, not road, track was eating cars. If you would have a little bit of rain, you would have a disaster. You couldn't pass through it. All up to 2014 when they started investing and changing it up to this what you can see now. This is basically paradise compared to those situations where you have trucks and cars eaten alive by mud. So potholes, yeah, hooray, good for me. And I always remember that series Long Way Around, where those two guys got stuck on this particular highway as well and couldn't move forward, so they had to put their bikes on the train up to Nizhny Bestiach, so that they could continue from that way. You see, construction is still ongoing. It's not something that is fully done. They are still making bridges over water, over rivers and streams, so that it can be way easier to pass. As you could see, they were placing asphalt. There was a tarmac in some stages, but you will see places where it's still, gravel road, and this is relatively okay because we are talking about subarctic climate, so tarmac as well has its limitation, and temperatures in between -60 and +30. You can imagine what they can do to tarmac. So you might need this helicopter to move forward. Yeah, so in those circumstances, hard-packed gravel is even better option than tarmac, although when you have a rain, then you have a situation like this. One way or another, gravel or tarmac in subarctic climate, you need to maintain roads much more often than in, let's say, normal climate places in the world. And here one more part decided to fall off, rear wheel mudguard, and to tell you honestly, I needed to remove it way before, because for off-road, which I was mostly riding on, you are better without it. But well, okay, what can you do? You learn while you live and ride. More I was moving to the north on the Lena highway, more often I could see part of the road in a worse condition than the previous ones. Here there was some kind of a traffic jam, and at first glance I didn't realize what it was all about, but when I saw those traffic cars with a sign on them, I figured it out that must be something with the road conditions, and they are only passing certain amount of cars in one direction and then certain amount in another. I wouldn't be a rider on a motorcycle if I haven't bypassed them all. And because you know what, on this kind of a terrain, especially on this kind of a terrain, if you move in a group and they are going relatively slowly, and I need a certain momentum to go through the off-roads and slippery surface, then you're screwed up. So I took my chances alone. Even if I fall, it would be in more or less controlled, environment. You see that the bike is a little bit dancing because it was muddy, it was slippery, but it was still, drivable with the good tires that I had. You can see in front of me truck moving very slowly up this slope, and this is already the end of the slope and the end of this tricky or harder to drive part of the track. I was approaching a city called Tinda to refill my tank. Tinda has something like 36,000 inhabitants. It's important railway hub and junction from Baikal-Amur main line railway to Trans-Siberian Railway as well. Also, Amur-Yakutsk main line railway is connected to it. Firstly, it was found in 1917 as a rest stop camp to gold fields in Timton, and later on, obviously, it evolved to today's 36,000 inhabitants. In Soviet Union, it had almost double population than today, but with industry dropping down, population also left the place. I was leaving Amur Oblast and approaching Yakutsk or Yakutia or Sakha, officially Autonomous Republic of Sakha. It's the largest republic in the Russian Federation, and although big in size, more than 3 million square kilometers, population is only around 1 million people. And this is fuel station in Serebriani Bor, near Neri, Hungary, town with 62,000 people. Industry is mostly running around the big coal field exploitation mines, so usual stuff. With Siberia you'll have those small cities with mostly industry related around mining. Afternoon was mostly dry, without any rain, so I was enjoying riding through these gravel roads until late in the afternoon. I reached a place called Legion or Legion, a motel on the road. Since there is nothing even close to this place, many truck drivers, other passengers, bikers, they are stopping there to have some milk, since it's working 24/7, and to get some sleep, as I did.
I made it. I'm almost in Yakutsk. Some 200 kilometers from it. Found some nice hotel near the road. And the funny thing is, Wikipedia is saying, and other websites, that this road has been completely done, finished. It's not far away from truth. I mean, maybe 20% is still kind of a gravel road, but gravel road meaning in work in progress, so it's not like in old days at Lena highway that it would be a mud road or no road whatsoever when the rain will start. Because for example, the first, let's say, third of this trip yesterday that I take was under the rain, and actually last few days there was a heavy rain over here, so and the road was okay. I mean, with a 50/50 tire you can do it without a problem, so I was flying. This, let's say, muddy part, although it's not that muddy clay part which will stuck you, it's more like sand and gravel, but not, you know, shallow sand and gravel, and you can go 50 without a problem. And on this part where it was dry, I was going even 100, so you can imagine how, let's say, flat and stable this gravel is. I don't know, asphalt, it's a new road, a new paved road, so I was going like crazy. So imagine, almost 1,000 kilometers, almost came to Yakutsk within one day. It's something that nobody could imagine 15 years ago, when these guys were shooting a long way around. In any case, I'm happy for this. We'll see how things will go. The weather is perfect. Hope it will stay like this, and stay tuned.
New day and new kilometers. I was approaching Aldan, gold mining town with 21,000 people living there. Had to fill my tank for kilometers ahead of me. As you can see around the urban area, cities, towns, villages, roads are nicely paved, so no issues driving around them. This here I'm crossing a bridge over Aldan River, the second longest right tributary of the Lena River. Day was beautiful to ride, I mean, pure joy. Sunny scenery, gravel roads. The only thing that can stop you fully enjoy is if you have something like this truck in front of you, which brings a big dust, and then you are sometimes not sure if you can overtake it or not. But if there is a slope or a little bit twistier road, then you can see that there is nobody from another direction and you can take it without any problem. And here I'm approaching Buluus Glacier, one of the main tourist attractions in Sakha Republic, situated some 120 kilometers from Yakutsk. It's also known by its nickname Siberia Ice Beach. It's one of the Russian coolest attractions. Geography, location and permafrost are the reason why it's keeping cold and icy all year around. It covers something around 1,000 hectares. Unbelievable. So look at this iceberg in Siberia. So outside is maybe 18 degrees and we are here on the ice and snow around. So actually I saw this place recently and changed the plan because it was near the route I was heading. The thing is that it was all over the newspapers. They were telling that people from Yakutsk, also known as the coldest city in the world, that they are enjoying here, like on their private beach, while the midday temperatures are around 30. They are coming here to refreshing themselves, and as you can see, it's a really nice place to be. Place definitely worth of seeing if you are heading this way, as well as Stena Pillars, which I will be seeing next. It's also on the other side of the Lena River, where Yakutsk is, just a few hundred kilometers below. So first that, then Yakutsk, then of course heading further on to Magadan. Road is fine, I mean perfectly paved so far, maybe 20% not, and then onwards people are telling me that also this is not the same road of thorns that it used to be. Many stretches of the road have been nicely, done, so we'll see how it will go. Actually for me the biggest thing will be to catch my date of getting out of Russia, because this is something that is hanging above me all of the time, so let's see how it will go. Here I'm going off-road again, and the reason is if I would continue straight, then in something like 100 kilometers I would reach Nizhny Vestiak, which is on the opposite side of Yakutsk on Lena River. But since I want to see Lena Pillars, I decided to go off-road and near the river way sooner, so that I could cross the river with some of the ferries that goes from one way to another way sooner than in Nizhny Vestiak. After few attempts to see where the possible ferry crossing across Lena River is, I finally managed to find it. Basically, I saw people standing there with their cars and ferry approaching, so I said this must be the case, this must be the place where I'll be able to cross the river. By the way, Lena River, with its length around 4,000 kilometers, is the 11th longest river in the world and the longest river in Russia. It's originating at elevation of 1,640 meters at its source in Baikal Mountains, 7 kilometers away from Lake Baikal. Flows across Lena-Angora Plateau, central Yakutian lowland, then between Knoralk range, making its way to the Arctic Ocean. So this crossing of the Lena River is near the small town of Bestiach, population something around 2,000 people, and from there is, as I said, something around 15 kilometers to the place where I want to take excursion boat or something like that to see the Lena pillars or Lena stubi. So you might ask me why to reroute my trip to those Lena pillars. Well, since I'm not sure if I'm gonna be coming in this part of the world again, and I can tell you I surely would like to do that, this is once in a lifetime opportunity to see this. Lena pillars or Lena stolbi are natural rock formations along the banks of Lena River. The pillars are something in between 150 and 300 meters high and were formed in Cambrian period some 538 million years ago. They are part of the World Heritage List from 2012. So you see, pretty much a good thing to see, and on those photos you can see why. And how did I found about this place? Well, usually when I do my plans where to go, I basically Google everything that is around the actual route, and if I find something interesting, and this was definitely interesting, then I obviously reroute my voyage to that location. I couldn't find online or anywhere before who to contact in a way to arrange this trip way before, so that I don't lose more time than needed. And I found one person, which I'm calling at the moment, but at the end the lady was not working or something like that. I couldn't fairly understood her on the limited Russian that I speak or understand. And finally I found the place, which is marked on the maps as the Loch Noi Taxi, this place here, and that's the place where you can rent those small boats, and the guy can get you to Lena Pillars. The only thing was, when I came there, it was very hard to get the agreement with the guy to get me instantly that afternoon. He was giving me 10,000 reasons why not to go. At the end we reached agreement that in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, so pretty early, that we take a boat and go there. And I couldn't complain. I mean, the place is so magical to spend the night over there. He actually gave me a tip to place a tent just next to the beach. Perfect spot. I mean, absolutely divine with the scenery, moon, river, perfect. In the morning, I packed all my stuff, put it in a motorcycle, and we were on our way to see Stena Pillars. But before that, he wanted to show me something else. Rock paintings at Toyon Arai, middle Lena River. According to local tradition, the place was considered sacred even before arrival of Yakutsk in this territory. On the painting you can see male and female reindeer, baby reindeer, and what appears to be 3 humans around them. Archaeologists are estimating that this rock painting is something like 3000 years old, so dating somewhere in the Bronze Age period. So if nowadays Yakutia is considered as the coldest, one of the coldest places on the planet, you can imagine how it was 3000 years ago. In any case, all those old cultures, they were establishing their settlements around big rivers, so this place is not the exception to the rule. And as you can see, we are slowly approaching Lena Pillars, or Lena Stolby, as Russians call them. They are mostly known among locals. I haven't seen many foreign tourists around here. I haven't even seen too many people from other parts of Russia around here. So yeah, mostly locals that live in Yakutia or nearby regions. They are the ones coming and visiting this wonderful place. This place is really mesmerizing. I mean, look at this. And the reflection that it creates in still water below it. No wonder that locals are still shamans are considered this place as a sacred, wonderful place to be. Definitely worth of visiting. I was lucky that my host decided that we will board the shores near the pillars. In fact, he was not doing it only because of me, but he wanted to take a chance and try to catch some fish, and it was amazing. In a matter of few seconds, he just dropped the stick and the fish was out, and not a small fish. I mean, look at this. So, perfect thing. He arranged himself a day tour with me and catch himself a lunch. So we stayed there just for a short period of time. The very reason why we went so early, around 4 a.m. on this trip, was because I wanted to start the voyage forwards Magadan as soon as possible. I had some 500 and something kilometers to Aldan River, and I wanted to make there through the night because it's Siberia. It's area populated with various animals, bears, so you want to make sure that you are spending night at secured place, or at least camping at secured place. This here is the latest attraction among tourists, among locals around here, because it looks like a sand dune of the desert. But unfortunately, this was created by forest fires that were here a few years ago, and then when the forest was gone, there was nothing to hold the soil, and apparently the soil below the forest was sand, so that's what was left. As I said, from that beach up to Yakutsk you have around 120 kilometers to ride. The Yakuts, also known as Sakha people, migrated to this area during 13th and 14th century from other parts of Siberia and mixed with indigenous Siberians in the area. I'm just entering Yakutsk. Actually, the Russian settlement at this area was found here in Yakutsk in 1632 as Osterog Fortress, and from that place they started their primary economy activities around here: mining of gold, coal, diamonds. Yakutsk itself, it has a population something around 300,000 people, and worldwide it's very well known as the coldest place on the planet outside Antarctica and Greenland, because the lowest temperature recorded here was minus 64.4 Celsius on the 5th of February in 1891. The highest was 38 degrees in 2011. I was not staying too long in Yakutsk, just grab a bite in a fast food place and continue forwards ferry port to cross the Lena River. This ferry port and ferry line connection, unlike yesterday's one that is around 100 kilometers before Yakutsk, this one is in suburb area of Yakutsk, and this ferry is transferring you basically from Yakutsk to Nizhny Bestiak, the place where Lena Highway ends and Kolyma Highway, or as we know it, Road of Bones, begins. Although Lena Highway was granted the status of federal highway in 2014, unfortunately the last part of it, or the part that is continuing on it from Nizhny Bestiak to Yakutsk, was never done, and by that I mean a bridge across the Lena River. Problem was that in 2014 Crimean Peninsula was added to Russian Federation, and instead of funding this bridge they decided that they will spend all those funds to build the bridge to connect the mainland with Crimean Peninsula. This bridge was kind of postponed to start in 2020 and to be built up to 2028. The idea is that it would be something like 4.6 kilometers cable-stayed bridge. Well, I guess it still remains to see if it will be built or not. The truth is that ferries across the Lena River here are during the summer pretty much jammed. They operate around 4 months, and then other 8 months from October till May, people usually drive across the ice to get from one side of the river to another. Connection during the winter time is bad one way or another, because even though they have two airports during the winter period, they have also a huge amount of fog, so you can have airplanes not going away or coming for a week or two. And this is Nizhny Bestiak and beginning of Kolyma highway from Nizhny Bestiak, or you might say Yakutsk, to Magadan. It's approximately 1,867 kilometers long. Kolyma Highway is also colloquially known as the Road of Bones. Construction started in 1932 and continued up to 1953, mostly by Gulag labor. It is considered memorial, as some estimation goes up to 1 million imprisoned laborers died while constructing it. In 2008, the road was granted federal road status and is now frequently maintained. River crossings and streams are nowadays mostly crossed by bridges, and certain parts of the route has been completely abandoned and entirely new sections have been built. So as you can see, it's mostly hard-packed gravel, and where you are approaching some urban area, there you will have a tarmac road. Some 160 kilometers from Nizhny Bestiach, in a small place called Churpacha, there is a place called Magai, which is kind of a culture heritage site for Yakutian people. Some 50 kilometers further down the road, there's a monument to Nuyurgun Butur, a legendary hero of Yakutia from their epics. So this is the place where they built this beautiful monument, and it was a good place for me to take a photo there. Still had around 120 kilometers to ride up to Aldan River ferry port, and as I said before, it was kind of a gambling to a wild camp anywhere in between because of the wildlife, bears. So I was riding deep into the night. Here I had a pleasant situation riding with the horses next to my right side, although the terrain was a little bit loosened, but finally I made it to the Aldan ferry port.